In the heart of a jungle, our inebriated villager stumbles through the dark, dreaming of a bustling city life surrounded by gorgeous women. Suddenly, an eerie sound interrupts his contemplation, the unsettling noise of a shovel meeting dirt. Panic sets in, and our villager, fearing ghosts, lets out a scream that could wake the dead. Speaking of which, tombstones start tumbling like dominoes. Meanwhile, a girl speeds toward the village in a three-wheeler, her driver attempting a cheerful conversation. However, the girl remains silent, uninterested in small talk. At the entrance, a no-entry sign halts the driver, who warns the girl of recent incidents and police presence. The graveyard is now a hub of activity as villagers and police gather. Our drunken storyteller shares his spooky encounter, emphasizing the mysteriously toppled tombstones. The inspector, intrigued, receives a call revealing a missing body from a grave belonging to the Chu family. Suspicions turn to Saurin, Chu Shakuran's grandson, who had plans to visit his grandfather's grave. Enter the mysterious girl, introducing herself as Huhoo, Chu Shakuran's granddaughter. The inspector, surprised by this revelation, cross-checks her identity with an ID proof. Meanwhile, Saurin receives a call, instructing him to swing by the police station upon reaching the village. Saurin, now in Tatsui village, greets an old friend, but a conversation stirs anger within him. Frustrated, he heads to the police station. Inspector Su breaks the news to Saurin about the grave disturbance and introduces him to the unexpected family member, Huhoo, claiming to be his sister. Shocked, Saurin discovers a family secret, and as the inspector tries to verify Huhoo's lineage, Saurin, overwhelmed, storms out of the station, determined to visit his grandfather's grave. Saurin, on his way to the village graveyard, stumbles upon the unexpected sight of Huhoo digging a grave. Intrigued and thinking he's discovered evidence of grave robbery, Saurin captures a picture, only to be swiftly knocked out by none other than Huhoo herself. Waking up with a pounding headache, Saurin finds himself in the presence of a slaughtered zombie and Huhoo, who proceeds to throw him into an empty grave and begins burying him alive. Confused and desperate, Saurin engages in a conversation with Huhoo, eventually learning that she claims not to be his elder sister and that the identity she presented to Inspector Shu was false. As Huhoo continues burying Saurin, a sudden emergence of zombies interrupts the bizarre scene. Saurin, peeking out from the grave, witnesses Huhoo skillfully dispatching the undead. Convinced he's in a dream, he starts screaming, prompting Huhoo to call him an idiot before making a quick escape. Meanwhile, on the highway, a man with glasses awaits Huhoo's arrival. She informs him about the robbed grave of Chu Shakuran and the encounter with Jiangxi during her excavation. The man speculates that practitioners of Xiangxi Ganshi might be behind the zombie chaos. In the midst of their conversation about Saurin, a colossal lightning strike near the graveyard catches their attention. Upon reaching the scene, they discover that the zombies have been incinerated to a crisp. The man notices Saurin's college ID and promptly creates a fake ID for Huhoo, urging her to join Saurin's college. The next day, Saurin is startled to find Huhoo casually sitting beside him while talking to Inspector Su. Huhoo greets Saurin in a friendly manner, prompting him to jump off the bench in fear. In the midst of a lecture, Saurin struggles to concentrate as the girl who recently attempted to kill him, Huhoo, sits beside him. Overcome with thoughts, Saurin eventually gathers the courage to question her presence at the university. Huhoo, seemingly unfazed, advises him to keep quiet and assures him that if he needs anything, he can approach her after class, leaving Saurin shocked at her response. After class, Saurin confronts Huhoo in the schoolyard, expressing his desire to avoid trouble and insisting that he has kept her secret. However, tensions rise as Saurin warns her of potential police involvement. Unperturbed, Huhoo reveals her new college ID to Saurin, claiming authority. A heated exchange follows, leading Huhoo to call Jo-san, who grants her permission to handle Saurin however she sees fit. Huhoo boldly declares Saurin as her servant, eliciting fury from him. Saurin, threatening police action, is met with a counteroffer from Huhoo. She challenges him to showcase the power he demonstrated when left alone with zombies, indicating her awareness of his formidable abilities. Saurin, recalling his family's history of hiding their kung fu skills, initially attempts to conceal his powers. However, pressured by Huhoo's relentless attacks, Saurin eventually succumbs and unleashes his kung fu prowess, utilizing Tenchai Genchu, a technique passed down from his grandfather. In the background, the narrative unveils the sinister plot involving Shakuran's stolen body, a zombie controller, and a group seeking entry. The in charge of the group reneges on the promise to let the zombie controller join, demanding the capture of Shakuran's grandson, Saurin, as a new condition. Despite Saurin's best efforts, Huhoo emerges victorious, having held back during their confrontation. Threatening to expose Saurin's secrets, she coerces him into becoming her servant. As a gesture, Huhoo provides Saurin with an old phone for communication. Fearing embarrassment, Saurin resorts to hiding in a tree to preserve his modesty. The narrative takes a surprising turn as a seemingly innocent couple captures a photo of the moon, inadvertently including Saurin, who is in a compromising position. The photo goes viral on the university's page, exposing Saurin to unexpected public attention. The tale weaves together elements of supernatural abilities, family secrets, and the unpredictable consequences of Saurin's encounters at Nanfukai University. At the restaurant, Saurin is in high spirits as he enjoys the company of Ken, who turns out to be even cuter in person than in pictures. They indulge in good food, and Saurin is excited about the evening unfolding just as he had hoped. However, unbeknownst to him, Huhoo is on a mission to track him down and interrupt his date. Huhoo, armed with a second smartphone to track Saurin's location, seeks Josan's assistance to drive her towards Saurin. Meanwhile, Saurin's cell phone is switched off, leaving him unaware of the impending interference. As Saurin and Ken continue their enjoyable evening, the tension builds as Huhoo gets closer to their location. Huhoo, determined to instill some discipline in Saurin, is poised to make her entrance. The plot thickens as Saurin, enchanted by Ken's charm, finds himself in an unexpected turn of events. Intrigued by her mysterious demeanor, Saurin questions Ken about not having seen her at the college before. Ken smoothly deflects. She begins to impress Saurin with her words, revealing that she has been curious about him for a while, having passed by him at school, and he has been on her mind ever since.
Stop the cap!
As the evening progresses, Ken invites Saurin to her apartment. Once inside, Saurin, feeling a bit stiff, becomes even more nervous. However, Ken's intentions take a dark turn. Attempting to kiss Saurin, she slyly plants a bug behind his head. Suddenly, Saurin feels a sharp pain between his legs. Ken's true nature is unveiled as she discloses her involvement in the grave robbery and zombie attacks. She refers to her minions as zombies. Saurin, realizing the danger he's in, understands that Ken is the mastermind behind the recent chaos. Meanwhile, Huhoo is on her way to Saurin, unaware of the imminent threat. Ken, reveling in her deception, mocks Saurin's virginity and reveals that she has planted a bug inside his head, set to activate at any moment. Saurin attempts to use his kinku, but the bug prevents its activation. A zombie, under Ken's control, delivers a powerful punch, knocking Saurin out. Huhoo and Josan discover that Saurin has been kidnapped by their adversaries, the Zensei sorcerers. Saurin finds himself offered to the Zensei group, and Ken is formally accepted into their ranks. Meanwhile, Saurin is subjected to unsettling experiences at the hands of Ayato's older sister.
It should have been me, not him! It's not fair!
He realizes that the seal on his abilities is no longer effective, leading him to contemplate whether the lady genuinely harbors affection for him. However, his thoughts are interrupted by Ryu, who warns Saurin to keep his distance until the desired information is extracted from him. Ryu, introducing himself, possesses the ability to make direct inquiries into people's souls. He employs a spell to manipulate Saurin's memories, causing him intense pain. The scene takes a sudden turn when a rock, propelled at bullet-like speed, disrupts Ryu's spell. Huhoo and Josan have arrived on the scene, assessing the situation. Josan recognizes the Zensei group's members, including the rookie Ryu and Natsuka, realizing that the impending battle will be far from easy. In a dramatic showdown, Saurin pleads for help from Huhoo, apologizing for not answering her call. Josan observes Saurin's behavior with confusion, questioning what Huhoo might have done to make Saurin refer to her as his master. The confrontation intensifies as Josan and Huhoo face off against Natsuka, Ryu, and the enigmatic Xiangxi Ganchi, Ken. Natsuka, a formidable opponent, engages Josan in a verbal exchange, adding an additional layer of complexity to the already charged atmosphere. Ryu assesses the situation, checking for potential reinforcements, while Ken, unaware of Huhoo's prowess, mocks her for intervening in the graveyard incident. The narrative takes unexpected turns as negotiations unfold, battles erupt, and secrets are revealed. Josan's attempt to strike a deal is met with disdain from Natsuka, leading to a clash of powers between them. Huhoo joins the fray, demonstrating her skills with knives, but Natsuka proves to be a challenging adversary. As the confrontation reaches its peak, Saurin, initially bewildered, witnesses the complexities of the magical world he's been thrust into. Ultimately, Huhoo's intervention saves Saurin from his precarious situation. However, the consequences of their actions and the brewing conflict set the stage for further developments in the intricate plot. Josan, the head of the express delivery agency, reveals to Saurin that there are two types of outsiders, those who inherit their power and those who acquire it. While Josan inherited his powers, Saurin is puzzled as he has never sensed any inherited Kai within himself. The confusion deepens as Josan shares the history of outsiders, detailing the existence of Zensei, a group with motives shrouded in mystery. Josan's agency, Express Delivery, deals with incidents caused by outsiders, attempting to maintain order and address the consequences of their actions. In a surprising twist, Ken, held captive in the agency's cells, is revealed to be the heir of the Ryu clan, forced to learn the Jiangxi art and trapped in her house until the age of 15. Ken's traumatic past unfolds as she explains her desire to make the Jiangxi art disappear from the world. As Ken faces brutal interrogation methods from Joyan, Saurin intervenes, activating his Kinku powers to protect her. Tensions rise as Saurin, Josan, Joyan, and Huhoo engage in a quarrel about Ken's fate. Ken discloses her mission from Zensei to find the legacy of Chuyajiu, a dozen Zensei warriors defeated by Saurin's grandfather, the outsider who wielded the Kid-Agent style. Josan grapples with the decision regarding Ken's fate, while Joyan taunts Saurin for his perceived weakness. Huhoo warns Saurin about the persistent threats he'll face due to being the heir of the Kid-Agent style. Despite initial reluctance, Saurin agrees to join the express delivery agency after a forceful persuasion from Huhoo and Joyan. Joyan becomes the supervisor for Huhoo and Saurin within the agency. However, the narrative takes another unexpected turn as Saurin is once again kidnapped. This time by a different group of outsiders, adding a new layer of suspense and complexity to the unfolding story. As alliances shift, secrets unravel, and Saurin navigates the challenges of his newfound abilities. The intricate plot continues to captivate with its twists and turns, leaving readers eagerly anticipating the next chapter in Saurin's magical journey. So, our poor protagonist Saurin finds himself in a kidnapping situation, and it turns out these two girls aren't your typical villains. They just want Saurin to have a cozy chat with their chairman. Talk about an unconventional approach to social invitations. But hold on, here comes an outsider from another group, probably thinking he's collecting trading cards of kidnapped anime characters. Josan and Huhoo decide to play the ultimate card, Saurin being the heir of the exclusive Kid-Agent style. The outsider who initially kidnapped Saurin starts protesting like he's in a picket line. But her comrade wisely mutes her because, surprise, the new outsider is no ordinary outsider. Saurin, caught in the middle of this chaos, is both confused and angry. All he wants is to go home, binge watch his favorite anime, and maybe catch a nap. But no, Destiny has other plans. In a plot twist that even Saurin didn't see coming, he activates his Kinkajou, and lo and behold, the two outsiders' subordinates follow suit. Meanwhile, Joyan, the resident researcher, discovers that Saurin's Kinkajou is not from the anticipated Kid-Agent style, but the elusive Tenshifu style. Suddenly, Saurin becomes the hottest commodity in the outsider market. Huhoo, having a beauty sleep interrupted by an unwelcome guest, decides to go back to Dreamland. Meanwhile, Saurin, in an epic struggle against two outsiders, discovers that Ruyukasan and his gang have spilled the beans on Saurin's secret moves. To add insult to injury, Saurin charges towards Ruyukasan only to get knocked down with a single hit. But Saurin, determined as ever, stands up for round 2, ready to unleash a storm of kicks and punches. Ruyukasan's subordinates play the role of the concerned referees, begging Saurin to reconsider. In the background, Joyan scratches his head, questioning Saurin's connection to Tenshifu. After all, there's no record of an outsider named Shakurin. In the midst of Ruyukasan's relentless mocking and crushing display of Kinkajou power, Saurin is left battered and underestimated. But just when it seems like all hope is lost, Saurin pulls out the ultimate trump card, the forbidden technique passed down by his grandfather. As Saurin awakens from what felt like a defeat, he can't help but unleash a torrent of complaints about the limitations placed on him since childhood. Enter the unexpected hero, Huhoo, appearing behind Saurin like a mystical motivational coach. With calm words, she cheers him up, charging Saurin with newfound determination. However, Saurin's attempt at acting cool around Huhoo doesn't go unnoticed, and she promptly slaps some humility back into him. Saurin, being Saurin, apologizes, realizing that maybe playing it cool wasn't the best move. Just as the trio is about to have their moment, Fusin makes a fashionable entrance, joining the chaotic scene. Saurin, now charged with a mix of emotions and a desire to prove himself, begins to charge his attack, leaving Ruyukasan utterly confused. This is the moment Saurin decides to unveil a technique he's never used against a human, a move his grandfather strictly forbade. As Saurin initiates Huhoo, he becomes a blur of speed, making even the most attentive eyes struggle to track his movements. Ryujioku's subordinates, who were so sure of their advantage with Kinkajou, are left in shock. Huhoo, unlike Kinkajou, is a technique that can't be stolen. Saurin attacks Ryujioku, who, in a surprising twist, counters with the same technique infused with ominous black Kai. Just when it seems like a clash of titans, Huhoo leaps into action, nullifying Ryujioku's Huhoo with a single swing of her blade. Ryujioku, now humbled, apologizes to Saurin for underestimating him and extends an unexpected invitation. He invites Saurin to participate in the Raiten Teishu at Ruyukasan, where the next successor of Tenchi will be chosen. With Josen's provided address, Huhoo whisks Saurin away to a remote villa rented by the express delivery agency. It's a training ground, and Saurin is about to embark on a month-long boot camp with the mysterious and slightly quirky Huhoo. Huhoo, ever the wise mentor, encourages Saurin to participate in the upcoming Tenchi event, dropping hints about discovering more about his grandfather. But before Saurin can dive into the secrets of the universe, Huhoo decides to give him a power-up. No, not the Dragon Ball kind, more like a headachy, unconscious kind. Saurin awakens feeling the flow of Kai leaving his body, only to be revived by Huhoo's unconventional method, a bucket of water. Huhoo casually mentions that she transferred her technique, Nufuku, to Saurin's brain, leaving him with the task of mastering it. Standard mentor-student relationship, right. While Saurin meditates to harness his Kai, he couldn't resist asking about the name of Huhoo's technique. As she undresses for a shower, she casually drops the name Nufuku, leaving Saurin puzzled and slightly amused. However, Saurin's attempts at focus are hampered by a certain distraction in the form of Huhoo bathing. As Saurin struggles to concentrate, Huhoo, being the insightful mentor, decides to tackle the issue at its roots. She takes it upon herself to help Saurin overcome his distraction by hiring two middle-aged women.
It should have been me!
Unfortunately, Saurin's reaction is far from what she anticipated, resulting in a comedic exit for the hired help. Fed up with the entire situation and feeling a bit like a character in a bizarre soap opera, Saurin contemplates leaving the villa. He expresses his frustration, revealing the toll this servant and master game has taken on him. Saurin, however, is in for a surprise when Huhoo issues a threat, reminding him of the consequences of taking another step forward. Caught between losing his dignity and facing the unknown consequences, Saurin chooses the former. Huhoo, in a fit of frustration, damages the villa, pleading with Saurin to come back. But Saurin, determined to escape the chaos, heads back to his dome. On his way, he encounters Fusin from Tenjikai, who reveals that her father wants to meet Saurin. Little does Saurin know, Tenjikai is more than just a meeting place, it's the renowned Tenj group, led by Fu Chanhao himself. Saurin is offered a chance to join Tenjikai, setting the stage for a whole new chapter in his adventure. Meanwhile, back at the villa, Huhoo is left bewildered and regretful. Jo-san and Jo-yan arrive, and in an attempt to salvage the situation, they decide to transform Huhoo into a cute schoolgirl who can't possibly be ignored. Ken, the part-time helper, joins the makeover mission, bringing in a modern touch to Huhoo's appearance. As Chanhao entertains Saurin and discusses family histories, the true intent of the Outsiders is revealed. The Outsiders are vying for the unique powers possessed by 8 specific individuals, and among them is the legendary Kid Agent style that Saurin's grandfather wielded. Chanhao drops another bombshell. There's a power called the channeling technique, a legacy of Fu Teniu, Chanhao's grandfather. It's a world of mysterious powers, family legacies, and unexpected alliances, and Saurin finds himself at the center of it all. In the realm of successors and secret arts, Saurin and Chanhao find themselves sharing a unique legacy. As Saurin delves into meditation to amplify his Kai, the tranquility of his room is disrupted by the unexpected entrance of Sin and a woman named Nana. Meanwhile, Huhoo makes her bold entry into the Tenj building, determined to find Saurin no matter what. Huhoo's direct approach at the reception, labeling the receptionist as an old lady, leads to an escalation. Security is summoned, but Huhoo, displaying her formidable skills, swiftly deals with them, leaving a trail of dislocated arms in her wake. Meanwhile, Saurin finds himself enjoying the expertise of Nana, a nerve-mandling outsider. Amidst the massage, Sin grapples with her father's decision to choose Saurin. Chanhao, in a heart-to-heart with Sin, reveals the unique inheritance Sin holds as the only one among his children capable of wielding the Fu family's channeling technique. Sin, coming to terms with her destiny, asks Nana to grant them privacy. As Saurin contemplates joining Tenjikai, his thoughts are clouded with regret for leaving Huhoo behind. Back on the hunt for Saurin, Huhoo's relentless pursuit leads her to face the top 4 outsiders of Ten's group. In a whirlwind of combat, Huhoo showcases her prowess, taking down 3 of them, while the 4th analyzes her every move. Meanwhile, Sin takes a more unconventional approach to express her feelings for Saurin. Stripping down and advancing towards Saurin, she deliberately falls in love with him, causing Saurin's seal to have no effect. Despite Saurin's reluctance to marry Sin, he expresses a desire for a relationship. This revelation prompts Sin to knock him out cold. As Saurin grapples with unconsciousness, Sin continues her assault. Saurin, utilizing his Kinkoku, defends himself against Sin's relentless punches. Saurin launches into a powerful attack, but Sin effortlessly dodges, utilizing teleportation to disappear from his sight. Back in the arena with Huhoo, the battle intensifies as Chonhao considers stepping in. However, Jongu steps forward, requesting the honor to face Huhoo himself. In the midst of the escalating chaos, Jongu charges towards Huhoo, only to be taken aback by the unexpected strength of the seemingly delicate girl before him. The 4 top-class outsiders of Ten's group are drawn to the unfolding battle between Jongu and Huhoo. Facing each other, Jongu and Huhoo engage in a fierce clash, with Huhoo skillfully defending against Jongu's blows. However, Jongu seizes an opportunity when Huhoo loses balance due to her high heels, landing a powerful blow that leaves her body numb. Huhoo, ever resourceful, smashes her head on the ground to regain focus. As Jongu continues his assault, using controlled sharp weapons as an arms master, Huhoo manages to dislocate her shoulder, escaping before the final blows can connect. Taking the fight more seriously, Huhoo removes her high heels, revealing a new level of determination. Meanwhile, Saurin has taken on the challenge of Sin, deflecting her attacks with surprising skill, exhausting her Kai in the process. Saurin pauses to name his technique, the Little White Bug, developed during his learning of Ryu. Before leaving, Saurin questions Sin's true feelings, only to discover that her earlier affection was a deliberate act for her father's sake. Back in the room where Jongu and Huhoo are clashing, the president of Tenj enters, disrupting the fight. Jongu, desperate to salvage his reputation, requests Huhoo to ask politely to stop the fight. Huhoo, unimpressed, complies but not without expressing her boredom. In a sneak attack, Jongu tries to catch Huhoo off guard, but she dodges in mid-air, countering with a fierce attack using her high heels. Saurin, having fallen to a lower floor after Sin's powerful punch, encounters Huhoo, who shocks him by offering an apology. However, Saurin's initial decision to decline is swayed when he catches a glimpse of Huhoo from the front. Saurin takes a moment to ponder and eventually asks Huhoo to stand still while he talks to the president of Tenj. The president, aiming to test Saurin's confidence in his decision, unleashes his secret art of channeling. Suddenly, Jongu, still reeling from his earlier defeat, stands up and threatens Huhoo. In response, Huhoo remains calm and focused, ready to face whatever challenges come her way. The turn of events takes a dark and unexpected twist, leaving Saurin in a state of shock and confusion. As Huhoo starts bleeding and collapses, Saurin rushes to catch her, attempting to stop the blood but failing in his efforts. The president, enraged by Jongu's unwarranted attack on Huhoo, takes matters into his own hands and chokes Jongu to death. Despite the president's attempt to heal Huhoo, the wounds prove too severe. Desperate, he calls his son, Shinto, a skilled doctor with the soul of the 9th best in the world. Shinto examines Jongu's weapons and discovers that Huhoo's vital organs are irreparably damaged. Jo-san and Jo-yeon arrive at the scene and decide to take Huhoo back to their agency without completing her treatment. Saurin, overcome with anger, confronts Jo-yeon, accusing him of stopping Huhoo's treatment. Jo-san tries to calm Saurin, urging him to listen to Huhoo's Kai. To everyone's surprise, Huhoo has already healed and is resting. Jo-san and Jo-yeon reveal that they want Saurin to join the express delivery agency at any cost, recognizing his connection with Tenshifu. The agency is ready to support Saurin in becoming the next Tenchi. When Saurin blames Jo-san for using Huhoo, the truth comes to light. Huhoo has no memory of her past or origin, and the agency is helping her uncover it in exchange for her services. Meanwhile, Natsuka is plotting to have Ko-Rin's son become the next Tenchi, and Zensei is taking refuge in Ko-Rin's mansion. Ryu, with his own sinister plans, successfully extracts Shakurin's memories while Natsuka contemplates Saurin's fortunate fate. Jo-san and Jo-yeon, back at the villa, ask Saurin to continue his classes while they take care of Huhoo. Just as they discuss Saurin and Huhoo suddenly wakes up and recounts the events of the other day. Saurin, on his way, takes a different route, aware that Ryu is following him. Ryu introduces himself to Saurin and reveals the memories of his grandfather's last moments. As Ryu departs, Saurin rushes back to the villa, grappling with the possibility that he might have been deceived by Jo-san and Jo-yeon. In his grandfather's memories, Saurin sees Huhoo and his suspicion grows. Just as Saurin arrives at the hospital, Jo-san and Jo-yeon are present, and Jo-san's father, Jo-shu, recently awakened from a coma, expresses a desire to see his sons and Saurin. Huhoo is questioned by Saurin about his grandfather's death, and with a heavy revelation, Huhoo confirms that she was indeed the one who killed Saurin's grandfather. The shocking truth leaves Saurin in a state of disbelief. The revelation unfolds, leaving Saurin in a state of disbelief and shock. As Saurin activates his Kinkajou in response to Huhoo's admission, Jo-san attempts to calm him down. However, the unexpected intervenes as their father, Jo-shu, who had recently awakened from a coma, steps in to reveal the long-buried secrets. Jo-shu begins recounting a tale that stretches back more than 70 years to 1944. In that time, Huhoo, known as Amu, woke up inside a cave with no memories. Two boys attempted to take advantage of her, but Jo-shu's father intervened, rescuing her and bringing her back to their house. At that time, Jo-shu was only 9 years old, and Huhoo started living with him. Amu, as she was called due to her silent nature, never spoke, leading everyone to refer to her as Amu. When Jo-shu's mother inquired about Amu's past, her head began to ache, marking the first occurrence of her using Kai. The medic, upon discovering that Amu was an outsider, advised them to conceal her true identity. Every attempt by Amu to remember her past resulted in excruciating headaches. Amu became Jo-shu's Kai mentor, teaching him the principles of governing his Kai. Jo-shu's mother taught Amu the shoulder pull song. 5 years after Amu joined their family, in 1949, the mother decided to search for Amu's family. If they couldn't find them, she wanted to formally adopt Amu. One night, after the harvest, Jo-shu's mother comforted Amu as her head ached. It was during this time that the bandits attacked the village. In an attempt to save Amu, Jo-shu's father was killed. Witnessing the mother cry, Amu, in a fit of rage, asked what she needed to do to make her smile again. The enraged mother demanded Amu to kill every bandit, and in a brutal display, Amu slaughtered each one. This event marked the first time Jo-shu witnessed the soul channeling. The villagers, terrified of Amu, asked her to leave. Jo-shu's mother, in an act of betrayal, left the village without informing Amu. The mother, unable to trust Amu any longer, left her behind, instructing her to wait until she returned. This heartbreaking revelation unveils the complexity of Amu's past, Jo-shu's family history, and the enduring connection between them all. In the heart of the forest, Huhoo embraced the wildlife, battling creatures for bamboo shoots. Meanwhile, Amu embarked on a journey to reunite with her family. Fast forward to 1993, and Jo-shu, now 58, is approached by Chu with an offer to manage the outsider world in his new company. Chu introduces Jo-shu to the peculiar world beyond by showcasing photos of outsiders caught for minor crimes. Amidst the snapshots, Jo-shu stumbles upon one featuring Huhoo, who got nabbed for snatching street food. However, her escape from the cell was nothing short of a spectacle. Enticed by the black market, outsiders sought to sell Huhoo, chaining her in a cell. But fate took a twist when Daehai, a friend of Tiger, intervened. Outraged by her beaten state, Daehai confronted the man responsible, earning the sympathy of Tiger. The man disclosed that Huhoo had given his goons a tough time, leading to Tiger's decision to spend time with her. Huhoo's fate takes another turn when Tiger brings her to Jo-shu, leading to an emotional reunion. Amu, witnessing Huhoo's condition, seeks revenge on her behalf. Tiger, fueled by justice, buries the assailant alive. From there, Huhoo, with Jo-shu in the express delivery, starts unraveling her mysterious past. Jo-shu discovers Huhoo's connection to the Kushan War, leading to a revelation of a meeting between outsider-style's key figures. The meeting turns gruesome as Shakuran Chu eliminates Yoretsu of the Shisentoman style. Shakuran reveals his connection to Huhoo and directs her towards discovering her past. The old man, catalyst of the Kushan War, reveals secrets to Huhoo before asking her to end his life. This marks a turning point as Huhoo becomes the guardian of Chu Saurin, the old man's grandson. Jo-shu's revelation about Saurin's grandfather, Chu Kaigi, sparks a journey for truth. Jo-shu's apology to Huhoo is met with her soothing song. Saurin, determined to uncover the truth, decides to participate in the Reitenteishu, setting the stage for a new chapter in their intertwined destinies. In the vast digital realm, Saurin diligently scours the internet for any trace of Reitenteishu but comes up empty-handed. Jo-san and Jo-yeon, puzzled by Tenchi's decision to invite Saurin despite countless other means to capture him, exchange confused glances. Zhou suspects that Tenchi might not have acted independently and speculates on the possible involvement of the 10 elders in this intriguing invitation. After all, the 10 elders seem to be going to great lengths for just one person, Saurin. Meanwhile, on distant mountains, Tenchi and Rikuken, who appears to be one of the 10 elders, stroll together. They engage in a conversation about the objections raised by other elders against Saurin's participation in Reiten Teishu. The elders have coerced their apprentices to object to Saurin, employing any means necessary to prevent him from becoming the next Tenchi. Tenchi, with calm composure, informs Rikuken that there's little he can do about the elders, trusting in fate to decide Saurin's destiny. When Rikuken questions Tenchi's choice of Saurin as a successor, Tenchi cryptically replies that he cannot disclose his reasons. As they approach the assembly of elders under an open roof, Rikuken astounds everyone by unleashing his formidable secret technique, Tsuyu Tenraku. The roof is blown away, leaving the elders in shock as they realize that Rikuken possesses one of the 8 powers that sparked the Kushin War. Undeterred, Rikuken proposes an unconventional reward for winning Reiten Teishu, the offering of his Tsuyu Tenraku to the victor. Amidst the murmurs of dissent, one elder mocks Rikuken for benefiting more from the war. However, Rikuken silences them with a response that leaves the elders speechless. It seems the stakes for Reiten Teishu are higher than anyone anticipated. In the intense training session with Huhoo, Saurin puts in great effort to enhance his attacks and speed. Despite his considerable improvement, he still falls short against Huhoo's skill. After the battle, Saurin questions Huhoo about the authenticity of the Raunaku technique she taught him as part of the Kidajin style. Surprisingly, Huhoo reveals that even she is uncertain because Saurin's grandfather passed away right after teaching her the technique. She never had the opportunity to confirm whether it truly belongs to the Kidajin style. Moreover, Huhoo admits she hasn't mastered Raunaku herself, as she was tasked by Saurin's grandfather to pass it down to him. Frustrated by his inability to surpass Huhoo, Saurin expresses his desire for her to teach him some other techniques she has learned. In response, Huhoo demonstrates the 48 ultimate techniques of the Monzetsu fists, taught to her by Zhou. This revelation prompts Saurin to contact Zhou-san immediately, informing him about Zhou-yan's unconventional teachings to Huhoo. Infuriated, Zhou-san punches Zhou-yan upon learning about this unexpected turn of events. Amidst the chaos, Zhou-yan receives a call revealing the murder of a Shinshu headmaster and his 2 apprentices. Zhou-san suspects the involvement of Zensei, the only organization capable of such swift and deadly actions. As he contemplates Zensei's motives, the plot thickens. Meanwhile, Natsuka engage in a conversation with their leader, Koketsu. The atmosphere becomes tense when Koketsu confesses to killing 3 Shinshu outsiders and makes a desperate plea to Natsuka for the ultimate Tsuyu Tenroku technique. Natsuka, feigning anger, warns him of the consequences if their actions are discovered. The situation takes a dark turn as Koketsu's father intervenes, leading to a heated quarrel between father and son. In the midst of the chaos, the lust spell on Natsuka is broken, and the old man threatens her. Suddenly, the arrival of the Kune of Reinhu, emitting an aura that triggers the evil within people, changes the course of events. Koketsu, driven by the dark influence, kills his father and is subsequently controlled by another sorcerer. Back in Saurin's world, as he continues training his Kai, the Kai planted in him by Huhoo undergoes a spontaneous change. Zhou instructs Saurin to prepare for their journey to Reiten Teishu, revealing that Huhoo will participate to clear the path for Saurin. Meanwhile, other elders attempt to persuade their students to take part in Reiten Teishu, adding further intrigue to the unfolding events. The anticipation for the upcoming competition grows, with hidden motives and unexpected alliances shaping the narrative. Amidst the grandeur of Ruyukasan, the sacred mountain renowned for training countless hermits, Saurin and his companions have arrived for the scheduled Reiten Teishu. However, the modern markets surrounding the mountain take Saurin by surprise, as he had not envisioned such urbanization in this sacred space. The government has imposed an entry fee to manage the vast land, and Saurin learns about it from Ouya of the Budu sect, who cheekily mentions that their Budausen's fees are even more exorbitant. As they explore the town, Zhou-san intervenes to prevent Huhoo from purchasing fake ornaments and spiritual items peddled by a thug monk. Ouya, curious about Saurin's motive for participating in Reiten Teishu, is told that he seeks to meet Tenchi to uncover his grandfather's mysterious past. Intrigued, Ouya leads Saurin through the bustling crowd to where Tenchi is posing for journalists. Tenchi, recognizing Saurin, instructs him to address him as master. In a private conversation, Tenchi reveals that Saurin's grandfather's true name was Chu Kaigi, and Chu Shakurin was a false name used for protection. Despite Saurin's plea to avoid the upcoming tournament, Tenchi insists that the truth is closely tied to the succession system. Outside Tenchi's dwelling, Joyan, Josan, and Huhoo patiently await the outcome of this crucial conversation. The narrative then shifts to the tournament grounds, where participants cross a single rope bridge to reach Saurin's location. While others effortlessly traverse the rope, Saurin hangs precariously. A distraction causes Huhoo to lose her balance, but she is saved by Jojo Sarian from Sensei Shu, who has a personal vendetta against her due to her association with Jongu, his brother. Joyan, Josan, and Saurin safely reach the other side. Shinton and Scene greet them, revealing their participation in the tournament. Shinton explains that they are doing it for their father, not personal gain. Shinton introduces Saurin to various outsiders, displaying their unique abilities and natures. He also reveals upcoming formidable opponents, Ruyukasan and Shikatsuay. As Saurin prepares for the challenges ahead, a confrontation with a portly outsider ensues, ending with Huhoo's declaration that she's in the tournament to clear Saurin's path to becoming Tenchi. The tournament kicks off with Tenchi addressing the fighters. Shinchu, another elder and comrade of Kaigi and Tenchi, observes Saurin, noting the differences between him and his grandfather. The selection process is carried out with participants drawing zodiac signs that determine their matchups. Huhoo wins her first match effortlessly, and Ruyukasan triumphs in the second. Saurin contemplates his upcoming opponents as his own match begins. To everyone's surprise, he enters the arena wearing a mask, exuding an intimidating aura that hints at the seriousness of his intent. In the arena, Saurin makes a dramatic entry, casting an ominous shadow over his opponents as the sky darkens. He employs psychological warfare, boasting about the prowess of his kid agent style, and ridiculing the opponents for teaming up against him. Saurin taunts them, claiming that even together, they are unworthy challengers for the mighty kid agent style, reserving such honor for the formidable 10 elders. As tension rises, one opponent decides to take on Saurin alone, but he remains unfazed, continuing his bluff and challenging the opponent to prove his strength. The verbal exchange escalates, leading to a quarrel among the opponents. When a victor emerges and challenges Saurin, he unexpectedly asks the challenger to meditate and calm his emotions before the fight. The opponent falls for this ruse, praising Saurin and expressing pride in facing such a remarkable warrior. However, Saurin seizes the opportunity, blindsiding the challenger with a robe and swiftly defeating him. The crowd reacts with disapproval, branding Saurin a shameless warrior. Despite the criticism, he justifies his actions, citing the necessity of using such tactics against 3 opponents ganging up on him. Joyan, amused by Saurin's unconventional victory, invites him to witness the match of Shikatsuay, an expert in the secretive Kimontanku style. Josan, too, expresses personal interest in Shikatsuay, as the Kimontanku style has been a closely guarded secret within the Shikatsu family for generations. As the tournament progresses, skilled warriors with diverse techniques showcase their prowess. Shikatsuay, in particular, stands out with his ability to predict opponents' movements. Huhoo enlightens Saurin about the technique, explaining that it seeks openings in Tendu, the rules of combat through space and time. Sei's calculations during the fight allow him to predict and counter his opponent's attacks. Josan speculates that Sei must be utilizing some secret technique from the Shikatsu family. Meanwhile, the portly outsider, the Fatty, has created a website displaying the odds of an outsider winning in the tournament. Joseon multitasks, talking on the phone while effortlessly dispatching opponents in the arena. The trio initially fights among themselves, but witnessing Joseon's potential, they team up to challenge him. Joseon, an expert in arm techniques, skillfully defeats all 3 opponents, showcasing his dominance in the tournament. The multifaceted battles in the Reiten Teishu unfold with surprises, strategies, and the revelation of unique martial arts techniques. As the first round of the preliminaries concludes, 32 candidates remain in the Reiten Teishu, ready to face off in one-on-one matchups. Saurin learns that his next opponent is Zen Shidu, known as Ayakami, who defeated his previous opponent in less than a minute. Shinton warns Saurin about Zen's formidable skills, specifically mentioning the Zen family's Furoku secret art, which suppresses a person's Kai vessels. During Ruyukasan's orders to show the competitors the inn, Saurin attempts to engage him in conversation, but Ruyukasan ignores him with an angry expression. Seeking answers, Saurin approaches Ruyukasan's subordinates at night, inquiring about the reason for the hostility. One of the subordinates is also puzzled by Ruyukasan's behavior, but the other reveals the underlying jealousy. Ruyukasan envies Saurin, not for receiving special treatment from Tenchi, but due to the nature of Saurin's Reihu. Ruyukasan's Reihu, named Ingari, is black and considered a different form developed by the elders to pass it down through generations. In contrast, Saurin's Reihu, known as Yaogurai, is in its legitimate form. The revelation sheds light on the deeper reasons behind Chuyajiu's animosity. In the midst of this revelation, Huhoo enters Saurin's room at the inn and urgently asks him to follow her. She discloses her plan to bury Zensei up to his neck to avoid killing him and intends to take care of him by feeding him. Saurin, curious about Huhoo's actions, unties Zen, trying to calm him and suggesting a plan. The second round begins with 4 simultaneous matches monitored on a huge screen. Sin and Kamu both secure victories in their respective matches. Sin dominates his opponent, while Kamu surrenders because of his vow never to strike a woman. Rikurin, the granddaughter of Elder Rikukan, wins her match and gains popularity among the audience. Ouya faces Tetsu, initially playing softly but later suppressing Tetsu's exploding Kai with brute force, merging Tai Kai's yin and yang to secure victory. In the fourth match, Rei emerges triumphant. Meanwhile, Huhoo engages in a match against Niken. Before the official start, Huhoo launches an attack, and Niken retaliates. However, Niken's attacks prove powerless against Huhoo. Observing the color of Huhoo's Kai, Niken surrenders, recognizing the transparent Kai as a sign that the beholder's soul has been destroyed in the cruelest way. Huhoo's ability to maintain both her body and mind intact while cleansing the soul sets her apart, showcasing a level of talent and capability that surpasses even the most skilled humans. In the third round of matches, the crowd is eager to witness the battles unfold. The first match features Yajo Saurin against Mare, setting the stage for an intense confrontation. Simultaneously, 2 Bunryu faces off against Shikatsuay in the second match, while the third match involves 2 Yudufuku competing against Ryu. The anticipation peaks with the fourth match between Saurin and Zensei. Saurin's entry into the arena is met with chants against him from the crowd. Unfazed, he calmly smokes a cigarette, while his opponent, Zensei, is nowhere to be found. Despite the repeated announcements of Zen's name, he fails to appear, leading to the host declaring Saurin the winner. However, a participant defeated by Saurin's dirty trick in the first round enters the arena, challenging him. The guards swiftly intervene, pinning the challenger down, and Saurin leaves casually. Rojai and Wai, 2 elders interested in Saurin's Kid style, closely observe him. Rojai believes that Saurin does not yet belong to Tenshifu. Meanwhile, Ruyukasan and her granddaughter Ruki gather outsiders from their family. Yuki, who lost to Koketsu, reveals a strange realization during their match. She discerned the flavor of Chinchu and Kakoncha, indicating that Koketsu had killed Zensei and other outsiders, absorbing their Kai. Yuki explains that Chinchu can lend his Kai to others, turning them into mad serial killers who must return a portion of the Kai to Chinchu. Koketsu's plans are further revealed when Yoku Gadoku of the 100 Masks, previously posing as Seraku, confronts Koketsu. Yoku warns Koketsu about the transformed outsiders mingling among the public, emphasizing the need to follow orders. Saurin, searching for Huhoo, is approached by an assistant of Rojai and Ouya, who leads him to the elder's cabin. Huhoo, dealing with a fraudulent antique seller, is interrupted by the president of the Tenj group. As Huhoo rushes to find Saurin, Rojai and Ouya ask him to hand over the Kid style in exchange for something valuable. The elders order Kaiou to extract the style forcefully. Kaiou, capable of manipulating souls like his deceased sister Ryu, seeks revenge against her killer and Saurin. Saurin undergoes a lie detector test, revealing his memories and denying any knowledge of the Kid style. Huhoo intervenes in a potential fight between Saurin and Kaiou, and Saurin agrees to the lie detector test. As they are about to have a frank discussion, Jo-san and Jo-yeon arrive to take Saurin away. Before leaving, Rojai hints that Saurin's grandfather was once an outsider serving Tenshifu before joining the heretics of Zensei. Exiting the cabin, Saurin and Huhoo are joined by Jo-san and Jo-yeon. Meanwhile, Shikatsuay and Kuhin engage in a battle, with Sei showcasing his dominance and techniques against Kuhin's fire manipulation. The fight takes a dramatic turn when Sei, toying with Kuhin, eventually retaliates with his unique glass transforming arms, overpowering Kuhin and erasing his flames with water drop techniques. In the midst of the intense battle between Shikatsuay and Kuhin, the audience witnesses the power of Sei's Kaiman Dunaja from the Byuku style, erasing Kuhin's flames with speedy water droplets. Chuyajiu, watching from the audience, explains to his subordinates that Kuhin's proximity to Sei is working against him due to the nature of the Luopen created by Sei. As the match reaches a critical point, Kuhin, frustrated by his inability to use his full power, starts punching the walls. Sei mocks Kuhin, challenging him further with fire, escalating the intensity of their attacks. The host and security evacuate the audience due to the overwhelming power on display. During the intense battle, Saurin is dumbfounded by the realization that he must face such formidable opponents to become Tenchi. Sei emerges victorious after damaging the arena, revealing that he participated in the tournament solely to test his strength. In the aftermath, Sei is interviewed about his motives, but the attention shifts when Saurin and Jo-san intervene to prevent Huhoo from attacking Sei. Another outsider attempts to engage Huhoo in conversation, offering her a tangerine, only to be confused when she consumes it in seconds. Huhoo is about to reveal her true age when Saurin interrupts, dismissing the outsider, and leaves with Huhoo. Jo-yeon, watching a match, is joined by Jo-san, Saurin, and Huhoo. In another match, Xiaoshu faces Kume, both exhausted and deciding to use their special techniques. Kume separates his soul from his body, surprising Xiaoshu. Despite Xiaoshu's attempt to counter, Kume's senior soul intervenes, saving him. The senior soul punishes Kume for using the technique without sufficient training, leading to Kume's surrender. The match concludes, and Riku-rin invites Saurin and others to follow her to Rinkyuken. Inside the cabin, Jo-san meets Tenchi, Deshinchu, and Rinkyuken. Tenchi greets Jo-san and Jo-yeon, and Saurin attempts to persuade Deshinchu to share information about his grandfather. Tenchi observes Huhoo closely, sensing something unusual. Suddenly, news arrives that one of the apprentices has captured Koksu, who was revealed to be an agent of Zensei. Koksu had been hunting outsiders at Ruyukasan, but the tables turned when Tuyuikuku, the shaman of Hakutausen, and Ryukansei, a sprite possessing Tuyuifuku, intervened. The capture of Koksu was part of Rinkyuken and Jo-san's plan to announce Rinkyuken's special art as a reward for the tournament, aiming to lure and capture Zensei members. The revelations about Saurin's grandfather's connection to Zensei and the 36 rebels weigh heavily on Saurin's heart. Rinkyuken, deciding it's time to share the truth, confirms that Saurin's grandfather, along with other outsiders from famous schools, swore allegiance to Zensei. This group, known as the 36 Rebels, created a secret technique that Rinkyuken now uses. Tenchi and Den Shinchu went after Chukaigi, Saurin's grandfather, as part of the punitive order issued against the rebels. However, they never found him, and Den Shinchu was attacked during the search, resulting in severe injuries. Saurin breaks down in tears upon learning the painful history of his grandfather. Den Shinchu tries to console him, emphasizing that regardless of the tournament's outcome, Saurin will always be their grandson. The emotional weight of the revelation hangs heavy in the air. Later, as Saurin and the others move back to the inn, they encounter Ruki and his company. Ruki, too shy to speak directly, asks Hana to convey their message. However, the moment is interrupted by Niken's inappropriate request, leading to a heated confrontation. Ruki and Hana clarify that they only wanted to study a forbidden seal, and Saurin, after calming down, teases them about asking Tenchi instead. In the evening, Ruki invites Saurin and others to a full moon night party. All the outsiders join the festivities, with Hana and Ruki guiding Saurin to the celebration. Chuyajiu, in a conversation with Hana, denies jealousy, but acknowledges the need for more training. At the party, Santu Denji challenges Huhoo to a drinking competition. Huhoo surprises everyone with a strong drink, and Santu, despite his initial shock, accepts the challenge. Meanwhile, Jo-san and Jo-yeon interrogate Niken about Huhoo, leading to shocking revelations about her soul and memories. The party takes a lighter turn as Saurin gets drunk and playfully reveals the seal engraved on his private part, bringing a mix of humor and tension to the gathering. Chuyajiu's shock and disapproval of Saurin's drunken antics add a humorous touch to the aftermath of the party. The morning brings teasing from Jo-yeon and others, making light of Saurin's playful revelation. As the next day unfolds, Huhoo's battle against Xiaoshu takes center stage. Sei and the three elders, along with other spectators, are present to witness Huhoo's skills. Saurin, preparing for his own match against Tu Bunryu, decides to employ a cunning strategy and enlists the help of the fatty. Meanwhile, Huhoo, in her match, displays intuitive and reaction-based movements reminiscent of Tenchi's divine level, catching the attention of the elders and Rinkyuken. Saurin's battle against Tu Bunryu is charged with emotions as he faces a practitioner of Taoman, the same technique that claimed his grandfather's life. Saurin goes all out in the fight, not holding a grudge against Tu but driven by the memories of his grandfather's fate. The elders and Zen Shindu observe Saurin's tactics and learn from his approach. In the arena of Huhoo's match against Xiaoshu, Saurin notices her struggle and recalls Niken's warning about Xiaoshu. Huhoo, in a surprising turn, activates the 48 ultimate techniques of the Monzetsu Fist, technique called Bukkake. In the electrifying clash between Huhoo and Xiaoshu, things got so intense that even Jo-yeon got a taste of Huhoo's powerful moves. Jo-san, not one to miss out on the action, started giving Jo-yeon a few educational punches for teaching such a brutal technique. Meanwhile, Rinkyuken found the whole situation absolutely amusing, claiming he had never seen such an interesting girl before. Huhoo, armed with her unique Kai balls, rained them down on Xiaoshu, leaving him dented like an empty soda can. The attack, however, didn't deter Huhoo, who, according to Ruyukasan, was anything but an ordinary outsider. Joyan, watching from the audience, couldn't help but instruct Huhoo to make her buckache stronger, prompting a confident response from Huhoo about countering Xiaoshu's next move. As Xiaoshu pondered if Huhoo had seen through his technique, he attacked with his shiki, only to have Huhoo expertly dodge and counter. She pushed Xiaoshu hard enough to make him bleed, then executed a slick move, sliding below Xiaoshu's shinki and jumping over his head to put an end to the battle. Even the formidable Shikatsuay was impressed by Huhoo's unwavering focus. The audience, initially perplexed, witnessed Xiaoshu emitting Kai as his soul shattered from the inside. Instead of intervening, Ruyukasan urged the youngsters to handle the mess. Huhoo, not deterred by the chaotic situation, began sucking the fragments of Xiaoshu's shattered soul, earning her the endearing title of a lovable idiot from Ruyukasan. With the situation escalating, Shikatsuay intervened, creating a barrier around Huhoo. Ouya joined the fray, assisting Sei. Ouya, displaying incredible skill, gathered the soul fragments Huhoo had sucked in and threw them back into Xiaoshu's body, reviving him. As the dust settled, Ouya found himself facing a new challenge from a guard who eagerly wanted to test his skills against Shikatsuay. The match kicked off, with Ouya attacking Sei with lightning speed. Both warriors engaged in an aggressive battle, with Ouya, surprisingly, being the first to draw red. It was then revealed that Ouya, like Sei, was a Fangshi. Ouya, suddenly serious, questioned Sei about ever experiencing defeat. Sei admitted he had never been defeated, except by his own master. This prompted Ouya to challenge Sei to an all-out battle, daring him to taste the bitterness of potential defeat. The two clashed fiercely, with Sei using his special technique to see through Ouya's eyes, eager to unravel the true potential and secrets of Ouya's Kaiman Bunaja. The stage was set for an epic showdown between these formidable opponents. In the gripping confrontation between Shikatsuay and Ouya, the battle reached a climax as Sei, determined to uncover the truth behind Ouya's Kaiman Bunaja, launched himself at high speed. Ouya, displaying remarkable agility, dodged Sei's attacks with equal speed, leaving the younger brother of Sei in tears, pleading for the battle to cease. Sei unleashed his formidable attack, Kansuiden, but Ouya expertly dodged and countered, shattering Sei into pieces. Sei, however, seemed unfazed and questioned Ouya about the nature of his attack. To Sei's surprise, Ouya merely displayed Sei's own red on his hand, revealing that he had blocked pressure points in Sei's chest. Ouya urged Sei to surrender, and in a moment of despair, Sei bowed down. Even Sei's Kaiman Kenzu Shinpu couldn't unveil the secrets of Ouya's Kaiman Bunaja. In a last-ditch effort, Sei unleashed his final technique to divine the secret art of Ouya, but it backfired, leaving Sei spitting red. However, Ouya wasn't finished. He directed Sei's attention to his Liupan, revealing that it wasn't an ordinary one. Ouya explained that he had total control over his Liupan, determining everything from direction and time to good and bad luck. Sei, accustomed to the logic of time-bound Liupans, was astounded. Ouya clarified that time is a measure of changes in things, and by controlling time, one can manipulate everything. The gravity within Ouya's Liupan was different, and he could even manipulate it. Sei, coming to terms with his defeat, acknowledged the illogical but potent nature of Ouya's abilities. Ruyukasan, witnessing Sei's defeat, pondered the mysteries surrounding Ouya. The Tenchi informed Ruyukasan that Ouya's Kaiman was the Ku Kaiman, one of the 8 secret arts. The focus then shifted to the next match between Saurin and Sin. Sin's father, a recent addition to the 10 elders, desired Sin's victory to earn respect. Sin, in a bold move, broke Saurin's phone, leading to a comical scolding from Saurin about contacting his worried mother. Sin's father lent his phone, and Saurin, in an unexpected turn, called his mother, who insisted on talking to Sin after learning her son's opponent was a girl. The match ensued, with Sin impressively holding her own against Saurin. Saurin, observing the match, asked Huhoo to handle Ouya, receiving a response as she tailed him. Ouya, meanwhile, found himself on the run from girls seeking revenge for making Sei bleed. Eventually, Ouya sought refuge in the night, deciding to rest on a tree after the girls gave up the chase. Huhoo managed to successfully tie up Ouya and began digging a hole in the ground with the intention of burying him. As she worked, Huhoo poured water into the hole, creating mud that she believed would stick to Ouya's body and prevent him from using his mysterious techniques. She assured Ouya that her intention was merely to stop him from entering the match, not to cause harm. However, Ouya, not one to be outdone, utilized the Liupan of Ku Kaiman and launched an attack on Huhoo. To his bewilderment, the attack had zero effect on her. In a surprising twist, Ouya jumped into the ground, reappeared below Huhoo, and threw her into the hole meant for him. Using his Ku Kaiman, Ouya buried Huhoo up to her neck, bidding her farewell. Undeterred, Huhoo unleashed her lightning Raihu, breaking through the ground and freeing herself. Armed with her shovel, she confronted Ouya, who remained confused about why his powerful attacks had failed against her. Huhoo, determined, pursued Ouya as he started running away. Meanwhile, Saurin, waiting for Huhoo, encountered Shinten, who informed him about Sin's injuries from her battle with Saurin. Shinten, using his skills, had expedited Sin's recovery. Saurin decided to accompany Shinten, and their plans took an unexpected turn when they witnessed Tenchi Gi running with Den Shinku in a wheelchair. Den Shinku protested his innocence, claiming he had nothing to do with the matter. Ruyukasan appeared behind them, threatening to break the old Tenchi's skinny neck. Shinten explained the backstory, revealing that Chuyajiu, a student of the current Tenchi, had been in a fierce battle with Ruyukasan's granddaughter. Riku had urged Chuyajiu not to hold back on his strength, leading to the current predicament. In the aftermath of Chuyajiu's intense match with Riku, which ended with Riku being taken away on a stretcher, Ruyukasan was furious at both Chuyajiu and Tenchi for the condition of his granddaughter. The consequences extended to Tenchi, who would also face repercussions for mismanaging his apprentice. As Saurin and Shinten arrived at the hospital to check on Sin and Saren, Shinten's popularity soared after his impressive match with Yuifuku, culminating in him absorbing the spirit of Ruyukasan. Meanwhile, Saurin, lying on the bed beside Sin, bragged to his mother that he didn't actually lose but let his opponent win because she seemed on the verge of tears. This revelation shocked Shinten, Sin, and others. Sin's threat compelled Saurin to apologize for his deceptive behavior. Chairman inquired whether Saurin was ready to face Ouya, the formidable opponent who had defeated Shikatsuay. The next day, Gi Tenchi appeared with a swollen face, claiming he was experimenting with a new ultimate technique and made a mistake. As the winner was about to be declared, Ouya surprised everyone by running towards the arena with Huhoo trailing behind him wielding a shovel. Ouya used a blinding technique, causing Huhoo to retreat immediately. Ouya then turned his attention to Saurin, wearing a menacing expression for sending Huhoo after him. Despite the tension, Ouya proposed an unconventional challenge, an eating contest. Food was brought into the arena, and Ouya dove into the meal with gusto. While devouring his food, Saurin questioned Ouya about his reason for participating. Ouya took the opportunity to impart some wisdom, explaining that a Fangxi's fate is determined by the impact of outcomes on the world. Finally, Ouya revealed the real reasons for his participation in the Reiten Teishu. First, he wanted to prevent damage to the honor of the Tenchi and Tenchifu. Second, he aimed to offer Saurin a choice to give up on finding the truth. Ouya believed that Saurin's insatiable quest would never be satisfied. He emphasized that Saurin's fate was remarkably heavy, and his decision would have a profound impact on many. Having finished his meal, Ouya stood up and asked Saurin if he had made a decision for himself. The eating contest between Saurin and Ouya reached its climax as Saurin stuffed the last bite into his belly. However, Ouya, with a sudden and unexpected kick, knocked Saurin to the ground. Both contestants found themselves lying on the arena, gazing at the sky. In a surprising turn of events, Ouya declared Saurin the winner and decided to exit the arena. The focus then shifted to the next match between Sin and Huhoo, generating curiosity among the audience due to the exceptional abilities of both contestants. Huhoo entered the arena, and Sin eagerly awaited the long-anticipated face-off. Huhoo, in a sudden move, rushed towards Sin and began scrutinizing her. She inquired whether the winner of this match would face Saurin in the next round, a question Saurin affirmed. Unexpectedly, Huhoo decided to forfeit the match, revealing that her sole purpose in participating in the Reiten Teishu was to eliminate potential threats to Saurin, and she did not consider Sin to be such a threat. This decision angered Sin, and she was about to attack Huhoo when Chairman intervened, urging Sin to forfeit due to her previous injuries. In a diplomatic manner, asked Sin to apologize to Huhoo and admit defeat. However, Saurin intervened out of nowhere, attacking Huhoo. Despite Chairman's attempt to stop Saurin, he arrogantly insisted on his way, only to shiver in fear when he heard Sin behind him. Sin swiftly knocked down Saurin and exited the arena, gripping Saurin by the collar. Saurin, having reached this far with just one match, awaited the unfolding events. Chairman received critical information about Shinten's condition. Shinten had suffered severe injuries during his match with Ouya's great-grandson, Oihi. As Chairman entered the cabin where Shinten rested, he found Ouya present. Chairman requested Sin to leave the room and then questioned Elder Ouya about the reasons behind Shinten's critical condition. The match between Oihi and Shinten had been brutal, with Oihi dominating from the start. Oihi had mastered the technique of spirit summoning and attempted to snatch the spirits of Ruyukasan. Shinten, unwilling to give up, endured the brutality. Shinten allowed Ruyukasan's spirit to escape, enraging Oihi, who brutally beat Shinten. Oihi even snatched the spirit of his grandfather, devouring it. However, Shin intervened, tackling Oihi and putting a stop to his actions. Shinton then dispersed and released the soul of his grandfather, revealing that the spirit had protected him since his childhood. Shinton's intervention saved the soul of his grandfather, snatching Oihi's prey and provoking the latter's fury. Oihi launched a wild attack on Shinton, prompting the host to step in and prevent Shinton from being harmed. However, Oihi disrespected the host, leading to a challenge. Recognizing the potential of the host, Oihi decided to leave after some trash talking, and the host announced Oihi as the winner. Josan's revelation to Saurin about Oihi's ability to use Kurei Kenshu, a secret technique of the family, left Saurin confused. Huhoo sensed an eavesdropper, prompting her to attack someone on a nearby tree. Joyan warned Saurin to be cautious, hinting at potential threats. Chairman also questioned Ouya about an Oi family member using Kurei Kenshu. Ouya explained that they learned the technique from his grandfather, who defended the family during the Kushin War. Ouya's father spared Teni, the grandfather of Chairman, in exchange for Kurei Kenshu. Chairman expressed gratitude to Ouya's father for saving the family and pledged to work under Ouya's guidance. In a surprising turn of events, two old masters appeared in front of Santu, claiming to be friends of Gi Tenchi. Hana instructed Santu to escort the foreigners to Tenchi's cabin. The semifinals commenced with Saurin facing Huhoo and Chuyajiu against Oihi. However, Saurin and Huhoo's stage performance enraged the audience and the host. The host, expressing anger, declared that Tenchifu was not concerned with what happened after the match, encouraging the audience to do as they pleased. The infuriated audience attacked Saurin and Huhoo, with even Joyan finding it hard to believe that Saurin had made it to the finals. Tenchi introduced his friend, the headmaster of Flamel Academy named Isak Tamber from England, and his brilliant student, a teacher at Victor Academy. They stopped by to visit Tenchi after hearing about the Raiten Tenshu. Meanwhile, Oihi faced a devastating defeat against Chuyajiu, revealing a darker side to his character. Natsuka and Chinchu were also present in disguise, observing the unfolding events within the arena. Saurin and Huhoo sought refuge on the top of a mountain to escape the furious mob of outsiders. Huhoo expressed her desire for Saurin to win the next match against Chuyajiu and become the Tenchi. While Saurin smoked a cigarette, he asked Huhoo about her past. This triggered contemplation in Huhoo, who had no place she could call home or return to. The conversation delved into the complexities of identity and belonging. Scene, fueled by the desire to avenge Shinton, was dissuaded by Chairman, who insisted on her resting. As she exited the cabin, she took Josarian with her. Meanwhile, the outsiders who lost in the tournament were returning to their homes. Simultaneously, an agency was investigating Huhoo's past under the orders of a mysterious lady. Ouya apologized to his master for revealing Ku Kaiman. He encountered Shikatsuay, who was on his way to the airport. Before leaving, Sei shared insights about Saurin's decision and the words Ouya had spoken during their match. Ouya, initially dismissive, eventually gave a gentle smile as Sei departed. Ouya then bowed down, expressing gratitude to his master, grandmaster, and family. The next day, Gi Tenchi had breakfast while discussing Chuyajiu's upcoming match with Saurin. Tenchi straightforwardly advised Chuyajiu to defeat Saurin decisively. The other disciples of Tenchi gathered, warning Chuyajiu of regret if he were to lose to Saurin. They believed that if Saurin claimed Tenchi's seat, it would be the end for Tenchifu. The elders, too, had gathered for the final match. Chuyajiu entered the arena, finding Saurin already meditating on the ground. Both opponents activated their Kinkaju, and the battle began. Despite Saurin's Kinkaju being inferior, he demonstrated remarkable skill by focusing it effectively. The audience was astonished at Saurin's growth. Chuyajiu, impressed, challenged Saurin with Reihu. The clash revealed Saurin's true potential, overpowering Chuyajiu's Ingorai. Tenchi explained to Den Shinku the origin of Reihu as the Five Thunders, a type of Kai divided in a born outsider. Saurin's Reihu forced Chuyajiu to reveal the true form of his Ingorai. Chuyajiu unleashed his Ingorai, turning the arena into a sea of mud like Ingori. Saurin struggled to defend against the swift attacks, and Chuyajiu explained the poisonous nature of his Ingori, capable of breaking bones and tainting hearts. Before the final match, Saurin arrived at the arena early in the morning, overwhelmed by mixed emotions and shaking hands. Realizing he had to use everything he had hidden until now, he decided to meditate and free himself from worries. Saurin admired Huhoo's focused approach, recognizing the effectiveness of concentrating on one thing at a time. Using the Yaogurai, Saurin healed the wound inflicted by Chuyajiu's Ingorai on his shoulder. Despite being fundamentally weaker, Saurin focused on his strength and progress. He activated Jinrai, a technique he developed but hadn't mastered, limiting its use to 5 minutes. Charging up Jinrai, Saurin landed a blow on Chuyajiu, who covered Saurin with Ngorai to suffocate him. In a moment of childhood recollection with his grandfather, Saurin discovered something profound. Chuyajiu, bleeding after Saurin's blow, absorbed back his Ngorai. Chuyajiu admitted losing his purity and apologized for his jealousy. Saurin, rejecting the apology, urged him to cheat more, and they continued their battle. Their movements were undetected by common eyes, and both unleashed their Reihu. Chuyajiu's Reihu froze Saurin's hands, while Saurin's Rivalry burned within Chuyajiu. The audience was shocked to see Saurin, the shameless cheater, matching the tournament favorite. Chairman explained Saurin's true nature to his son, who had hidden his identity for a decade, fooling even the express delivery service. Saurin realized their techniques canceled each other, making the battle depend on endurance. Approaching his limits, Saurin launched his final attack, asking Chuyajiu to let him strike first. Chuyajiu agreed, but Saurin's unique attack could be controlled from a distance. Chuyajiu attempted to deflect the attack, but Saurin's technique, with its ability to follow its prey, added a new dimension to the intense battle. Chuyajiu, though fallen on the ground, praised Saurin for his talent and mastery over Rivalry. The audience cheered for Chuyajiu, who admitted Saurin's capability to claim the seat of Tenchi. However, Saurin couldn't use Jinrai due to a lack of Kai. As Chuyajiu charged up to attack Saurin, panic struck Huhoo. Zhou calmed her, pointing out the arena where Chuyajiu had fallen and began feeling numbness all over his body. The question lingered if it was due to Saurin's Rivalry or his own Ngorai. Chuyajiu surrendered, and Saurin was declared the victor of Reiten Tenchiu. Meanwhile, Hana and Riku kept a watch on Ruyukasan, with Riku losing her bet and her monthly budget due to Saurin's victory. Gi Tenchi's friend had left for home. Before Saurin's match with the Tauman user, Tenchi was concerned about Saurin facing Shikatsuay next. Ouya sought permission to enter Tenchi's cabin, expressing his intention to eliminate Shikatsuay to save Tenchifu's name. Initially hesitant, Tenchi questioned Ouya's confidence in defeating Shikatsuay. Ouya decided to prove his strength by attacking Tenchi, who realized that Ouya had more than one master. Acknowledging Ouya's strength, Tenchi asked him to rest and prepare for the upcoming fight against Shikatsuay. In his cabin, Tenchi reminisced about Kaigi and how, if Kaigi hadn't left, Tenchi's seat would have belonged to him. Inside the cabin, Tenchi and Saurin engage in a serious conversation. Tenchi acknowledges Saurin's refusal of the secret technique Tsuyutenroku and respects Saurin's decision due to the potential problems that may arise from being the user of the second secret art. However, Tenchi, being a clever strategist, instructs Rinkyuken to present Tsuyutenroku to the runner-up, Chuyajiu. The next day, Saurin is officially presented with the title of Reiten Tenchiu, but he declines to receive the secret technique. Tenchi, always thinking ahead, ensures that the technique is given to someone else, in this case, the runner-up Chuyajiu. At night, Saurin and the others are waiting outside the temple when Zhou and Zhou suddenly receive a call and go to the back. Tenchi requests Saurin to follow him inside the cabin alone, indicating that an important discussion or revelation is about to take place. Gi Tenchi, with an air of celestial authority, commands Saurin to tread the hallowed grounds of the temple. Yet, amidst this divine procession, Huhoo, ever the loyal companion, yearns to join the journey. Tenchi, in a stroke of divine decree, denies Huhoo's entry, relegating her to the realm outside. As the duo enters the temple, the stage is set for revelations. Meanwhile, chaos ensues in the realm beyond. The Zensei outsiders launch an assault on disciples and Ruyukasan practitioners. Ruyukasan, wandering through the jungle in solitude, falls victim to a stealthy ambush by a Zhu Shajiang user. The mysterious assailant retreats into the shadows, only to engage Ruyukasan in conversation from the concealment of the foliage. A dialogue unfolds, revealing the purpose behind Ruyukasan's seclusion and the outsiders' pursuit of a secret art. Simultaneously, Saurin, inside the sacred confines, seeks answers from Tenchi regarding the truth of the Kashin War. However, Tenchi, with a mischievous glint, redirects the conversation, posing a whimsical query to Saurin, who, he asks, is best suited for the title of Tenchi. The most popular, the strongest, or the most cunning? Tenchi, the arbiter of his own query, declares the chosen one, an answer that bathes the room in a golden glow. Back in the tumult outside, N2 of Zensei, a formidable sorcerer, makes his appearance. Desiring the coveted secret art, he bargains with Ruyukasan. A Zensei outsider attempts an ill-fated attack on Ruyukasan, meeting swift and decisive destruction. Ruyukasan, empowered by the Kinkaju, faces an unexpected challenge as an invisible force thwarts his assaults. Just in the nick of time, Rinkyuken, accompanied by reinforcements, intervenes to rescue Ruyukasan. The Zensei outsiders, sensing defeat, scatter in retreat. Meanwhile, Huhoo, stationed outside the temple, witnesses Saurin bolting towards the woods, leaving her perplexed. In a parallel confrontation, Santu finds himself targeted by a Zensei outsider wielding a pennant. The sinister touch of the pennant leaves Santu's arm numb and darkened. Kumo, the masked disciple of Rinkyuken, comes to Santu's aid, revealing himself as a transmuter. The banter between Santu and the Zensei outsider unveils the peculiar nature of his weapon, polished with oil extracted from corpses. As the plot thickens, N2, the enigmatic enchanter of Zensei, blocks Ryujioku's Suizurai with his enchanted weapon, Chifunju. Ryukyuken steps up to the challenge, forcing N2 to reveal his skills with two more enchanted weapons, Hakyukaju and Sihu Haoju. The clash between Ryujioku and N2 reaches a critical point, with the former unwittingly falling into a trap. However, Ryukyuken, with a secret art of his own, intervenes to save Ryujioku from imminent defeat. Ryukyuken, seizing the moment with the prowess of Goriki Shifu, intervenes just in time to shield Ryujioku from N2's enchanted onslaught. Surprised by the evident improvement in N2's skills, Ryukyuken issues a stern order for Ryujioku to stand back, taking the reins of the battle upon himself. Employing the Shuitsu-style's Gorai Fuju, Ryukyuken launches his initial assault on N2's Chufunju barrier. Recognizing the key to breaking enchanted weapons lies in overwhelming strength, Ryukyuken effortlessly shatters the Chufunju orb with his mighty strike. N2, quick to mock Ryukyuken for not immediately resorting to his primary secret art, inadvertently sparks Ryukyuken's fury. Fueled by indignation, Ryukyuken redirects his Kai flow, unveiling the formidable Sanishimon's secret art. N2, exhilarated by this unexpected display, finds himself dominated by Ryukyuken's overwhelming prowess. The attack not only breaks the Chufunju orb but leaves N2 in awe. He commends Ryujioku as a fortunate witness to the rare spectacle of enchanted weapons and Kyokusei Sanju, Ryukyuken's extraordinary technique. In the midst of N2's explanation, Ryukyuken seizes the opportunity, delivering a mid-air kick and ensnaring N2 with his Sanishiman spells. However, N2, cunning as ever, commands Kantan to assault Ryujioku with a water gun. The seemingly innocuous water bullets penetrate Ryujioku's Suizurai, posing a threat. Ryukyuken, quick on his feet, saves Ryujioku from the aquatic onslaught. N2 then instructs Kantan to use a hammer, breaking free from the spells. Realizing the dire situation, Ryukyuken, while expressing faith in Ryujioku's abilities, acknowledges the inherent disadvantage against enchanters for someone inexperienced like him. He affirms that without his intervention, Ryujioku might have met his end. Ryukyuken discerns the true enchanted weapon, realizing that it's not the beads but Kantan himself. N2's cunning plan unfolds as he orders Kantan to release rabbits, two pairs of rabbit slippers. N2 and Kantan, along with Ryukyuken and Ryujioku, pursue the fleeting figures, revealing that it was all a trap set by N2 to ensnare Ryukyuken. On a different front, Huhoo tails Saurin, only to confront an ambush by Zensei's outsiders. However, with effortless skill, she dispatches them per Zhou Yan's orders. Spotting the fake Saurin, Huhoo prepares to return to the temple when another Zensei outsider, Yokyugadoku, reveals his true identity. Seeing through his Kai, Huhoo confronts him, only to be attacked and injured in the process. As N2 and Kantan come face to face with Ryukyuken and Ryujioku, a momentary stillness settles, each party sizing up the other in anticipation of the clash to come. Meanwhile, chaos unfolds elsewhere as Zenchi outsiders launch attacks on Ruyukasan practitioners. The express delivery outsiders arrive in the nick of time, a timely intervention to quell the rampage and aid Tenshifu. In the midst of this unfolding drama, Josan urgently attempts to contact Huhoo, only to find her elusive. Josan, outside the temple, searches for Huhoo, but she remains elusive. Concerned about the situation, Josan instructs Tenchi's disciples to inform their divine leader. However, they are aware that Tenchi is already cognizant of the unfolding events. Back inside the temple, Tenchi persists in his efforts to impart the ways of Tenchi to Saurin. However, the process encounters hurdles, failing for the third time. Undeterred, Tenchi attempts to elucidate that the rules of Tenchi are not stringent. One can navigate them as long as they tread the right path. Seizing a moment to engage with Tenchi beyond the complexities of the Kashin War, Saurin expresses a burning question. As chaos ensues outside the temple, Josan, determined to confront the situation within, attempts to force his way into the place where Tenchi is imparting the ways of Tenchi to Saurin. However, his intentions are abruptly interrupted when Saurin comes flying out of the temple. Tenchi, visibly irate, chastises Saurin for his behavior, likening him to his grandfather and deeming him exasperating. Saurin, apologetic, assures Tenchi that he had no intention of provoking him. Tenchi descends to the ground, expressing concern that Saurin's actions may tarnish the reputation of Reiten Teishu, which once enlivened outsider society. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Tenchi disappears, swiftly heading towards the Zensei outsiders. Engaging in battle for the first time in over a century, Tenchi unleashes the might of his Kinkajou, stunning his disciples who witness this extraordinary display. The Zensei outsiders prove to be no match for Tenchi's prowess. Some attempt to attack him out of excitement, while others retreat in fear. Tenchi, loosening up, decides to enter the city, leaving a lasting impression on those who witness the might of his Kinkajou. Meanwhile, Rikuken continues to give N2 and Kantan a hard time. N2, feeling the pressure, suggests that Rikuken should divert his attention to other Zensei outsiders swarming Ruyukasan. Rikuken intends to do so, but not before settling the score with N2 and Kantan. N2, provoking Rikuken with words, earns the ire of the Riku family. Rikuken, in a fit of rage, delivers a powerful punch that even Kantan struggles to block. Ryujioku, attempting to calm Rikuken, inadvertently provokes him further by calling him an old fart. In an attempt to calm Rikuken down, Rikuken orders Ryujioku to protect specific techniques. However, their confrontation is interrupted by another Zensei sorcerer, shocking Rikuken. The sorcerer takes advantage of the distraction, attacking Rikuken when his guard is down. Rikuken orders Ryujioku to refrain from engaging, acknowledging the vast difference in skill levels. Suddenly, Natsuka appears, punching Ryujioku and taking him away. Rikuken, succumbing to his monstrous intent, abandons reason, plunging himself into madness. As Natsuka tries to engage with Ryujioku, Tenchi, standing on a tree, coughs to halt the unfolding events. In the midst of romantic tension between Ryujioku and Natsuka, enter Tenchi, the ultimate romance ruiner. Picture this: Tenchi strolls in with the finesse of a rom-com villain, interrupting the delicate moment. Calmly, he turns to Ryujioku and pops the big question, "Is this your girlfriend?" The drama unfolds as Natsuka, the would-be enchantress, tries to cast her love spell on Tenchi, only to discover that Tenchi's charm resistance is maxed out. Talk about a one-sided magical duel. With a wave of his celestial hand, Tenchi banishes Natsuka, who bows in defeat. Tenchi then multitasks like a pro, ordering Ryujioku to duty while personally guiding Natsuka back on the path of righteousness. Who knew being a celestial being came with relationship counseling skills? Meanwhile, in the Zensei camp, our sorcerer friends are facing a berserker named Rinkyuken. N2, ever the problem solver, asks if Kure can use his artsy powers to change Rinkyuken's emotions. Unfortunately, the emotional baggage is too heavy, and our heroes are stuck in a waiting game. Cue Tenchi's entrance, and suddenly everyone's attention perks up. Tenchi, the ultimate party crasher, starts mocking Rinkyuken's sorry state, offering to take commemorative pictures. Rinkyuken takes the bait and attacks, only to find himself tied to a tree by Tenchi's celestial shoelaces. Talk about a codec moment. Tenchi warns the Zensei sorcerers to back off or face divine consequences. N2 tries to defy Tenchi, and our celestial photographer crushes his enchanted weapon with 2 fingers. Lesson learned: don't mess with Tenchi's photo shoot. Josan and Saurin, on a mission to find Huhoo, decide to split up. Meanwhile, Tenchi and Rinkyuken engage in a fierce battle of insults and blows. Tenchi, ever the showman, calmly defends himself while snapping pictures, criticizing Rinkyuken's taste in fighting styles. It's like a martial arts critique session. As the battle reaches its climax, red is spilled, alliances are tested, and Saurin faces the moral dilemma of taking a life. Meanwhile, Riku Rinron is in dire straits, outnumbered and injured. Hana, the damsel in distress, screams for help. But Riku, with a determined gaze, promises to save her even if it means facing the ultimate anime tragedy, his own demise. Saurin, caught in the crossfire of emotions and conflicting choices, hesitates as Riku confronts him about not saving Hana. However, our conflicted hero manages to muster the courage to jump into action, leaping to Riku and Hana's aid. Riku, fueled by fear and frustration, berates Saurin for not prioritizing Hana's safety. In a surprising turn of events, Saurin, perched on a tree, gives the Zensei outsiders a menu of choices. They can fight him, leave without a fuss, take Hana and exit, or commit the unthinkable, take Hana's life. Riku, desperate to protect Hana, physically reacts to Saurin's seemingly heartless options. The tension peaks as Riku tugs on Saurin's shirt, angered by the prospect of sacrificing Hana. The Zensei outsiders, faced with Saurin's unconventional ultimatum, opt to take Hana and depart. However, as they try to leave, Saurin's white Nagamushi strikes the big guy, proving Saurin's marksmanship skills. Hana, marked by Saurin, becomes a deadly weapon, and the Zensei leader, acknowledging defeat, agrees to Saurin's terms. Saurin, in a twist of fate, saves Hana and Riku, demonstrating his evolving commitment to protect his friends. Reflecting on the ordeal, Saurin contemplates a necessary change in his nature to safeguard those he cares about. Riku expresses gratitude to Saurin for his unexpected rescue, and, heeding Saurin's advice, they leave the perilous scene. Meanwhile, Huhoo engages in a fierce battle with Baron, a professional fighter with a knack for disappearing in the forest. The old outsider of Zensei advises Huhoo about Baron's advantage. Despite Baron's interest in Huhoo, her mysterious nature captivates him. Huhoo's remarkable healing abilities astonish Baron, but he manages to land a harsh blow, only to witness Huhoo rise again like a resilient cockroach. Baron, contemplating his past as a murderer, decides to withdraw, intrigued by Huhoo's uniqueness, and 2 and others successfully escape, while Ruyukasan, now in his right mind, weeps over the consequences of his actions against Tenchi. Tenchi, ever the mocker, teases Ruyukasan for thinking too highly of himself. As the dust settles, Huhoo receives instructions to meet someone outside the temple of Ruyukasan. The battle concludes, and healing begins for the wounded. Jo-san informs Saurin about the situation, and their attention is drawn to the cries of Riku mourning the injuries of her friends Santu and Xiaoshu. Kumo takes a moment to recount the intense battle with Zensei's Mourner to Ruyukasan and the others. During the fight, the Mourner unexpectedly burst into tears, unleashing an emotional onslaught on Kumo. Xiaoshu valiantly stepped in to rescue Kumo and proceeded to enlighten him about the Mourner's unique technique. Contrary to common belief, the Mourner's tears weren't a sign of fear, rather, they served to lure Kumo's soul into a vulnerable state. Xiaoshu detailed how this affected Kumo's behavior, making him unusually vocal and enraged during the confrontation. The Mourner's influence even led to Santu losing control. In a strategic move, Kumo and Xiaoshu decided to join forces against the Mourner, overpowering him. However, the situation took a dark turn when Santu appeared on the scene, slashing off Xiaoshu's arm and attacking Kumo. Though Kumo hesitated to retaliate against Santu, he had no choice but to defend himself, deploying his vibrating blades. In a heartbreaking decision, Kumo let the Mourner escape, prioritizing the lives of Santu and Xiaoshu over pursuit. Elsewhere, Jo-yan finds himself in a conversation with Turaku, who commends the express delivery team for capturing numerous Zensei members, despite the significant damage sustained. Turaku, responsible for security this time, assures Jo-yan that he'll handle the aftermath. However, Turaku says that the Ryu of Kanan district has been killed, and HQ hasn't made a public announcement yet. It appears the killer was one of Ryu's part-timers, raising concerns about the possible discontinuation of the express delivery company's part-time program. Jo-san takes on the responsibility of healing Santu and Xiaoshu. Suddenly, Tenchi arrives on the scene and beckons Saurin to follow him. Tenchi poses a profound question to Saurin about whether he wants to become like Tenchi or not. Though Saurin seeks an answer to his own question, he's rendered speechless when Tenchi reveals that he already knows Saurin's response, declaring Saurin will always be his master. Meanwhile, hidden in a warehouse, the Zensei master arrives to inquire about the outcome of the battle at Ruyukasan. The conversation between Tenchi and Saurin is interrupted when Izan sends a Zensei outsider disguised as a monk hurtling toward them. Tenchi, enraged, clarifies that he had ordered the outsider to protect Den Shinchu. Izan assures Tenchi that Den Shinchu will be fine, triggering Tenchi's fury. Tenchi rushes to Den Shinchu's cabin, only to find the lifeless body of Den Shinchu. The master of Zensei is revealed to be none other than Hain, one of Den Shinchu's servants, introducing himself as the acting master of Zensei Kyoyuke. The revelation that Hain, the trusted servant of Den Shinchu for the past 3 years, is the master of Zensei Kyoke shocks Den Shinchu. Kyoke seeks one thing from Den Shinchu, the truth behind the Kushin War. He explains that his investigation led him to the central figure of the war, Chukaigi. However, when Zensei located Chukaigi, he was already deceased. Despite attempting to extract information from Shinchu and Tenchi, Kyoke was met with silence. Hain had been searching for an opportunity to speak privately with Shinchu, armed with knowledge about the events surrounding Chukaigi. He reveals that when Tenchi, Ji-ai, and Shinchu set out to bring back Chukaigi, they took different routes down the mountain. However, they couldn't find Kaigi and Shinchu was attacked on his return, resulting in his current state. Shinchu expresses surprise at Hain's detailed knowledge, and Kyoke clarifies that the sneak attack on Ruyukasan was a ruse to uncover the truth about the Kushin War. Kyoke orchestrated the plan, but if he's wrong, he risks being killed by the others. Shinchu can neither confirm nor deny Kyoke's assumptions, still haunted by his failure to find Kaigi. Kyoke, determined to extract the truth, calls upon Ryu, a Maken user with the ability to manipulate souls and extract memories. While caring for Shinchu, Kyoke notices his reluctance to sleep. Tenchi informs him that Shinchu fears sleep because of the trauma inflicted when attackers severed his limbs and arms on his way back to Ruyukasan after failing to find Chukaigi. Recognizing that Shinchu is keeping secrets, Kyoke orders Ryu to extract the memories. However, Shinchu proves exceptionally strong-willed, making it challenging for Ryu to find a particular memory quickly. Hain stands guard at the gate during this process. Eventually, Ryu emerges, informing Hain that he has copied all of Shinchu's memories, concluding their business. But Shinchu calls Hain inside the cabin. Feeling helpless against Zensei, Shinchu acknowledges that he cannot stop them now and asks Hain not to leave him in his current state. In a surprising turn, Shinchu starts provoking Hain, disrespecting Zensei and labeling them as losers and scoundrels. Despite the provocation, Hain decides to take responsibility and end Shinchu's life, believing it will relieve him of his burdens and regrets. In a moment of clarity, Shinchu reveals that Kaigi instructed him to keep their meeting a secret. After being tortured by attackers, Ji and Shinchu found him. Although Shinchu initially wanted to die due to his inability to use Kung Fu, his master's words inspired him. However, the regret lingered in his heart. Ji had been caring for Shinchu since then. Learning about his sleep talking, Shinchu began training himself not to sleep. Finally, Kaioke closes the eyes of Den Shinchu, putting an end to his restless existence. As Ryu delves into the memories of Den Shinchu, he discovers that Kaioke's assumptions are likely correct. Hain decides to inform the other members of Zensei about Den Shinchu's death, suggesting a 7-day mourning period and urging them to avoid trouble until Shinchu's memories are fully deciphered. The news leaves everyone in shock, including Tenchi, who tries to console Izan, emphasizing that destiny is inevitable. Tenchi goes so far as to throw Izan out of the cabin to help him break out of his shock. Izan and the other disciples mourn loudly as the news of Den Shinchu's death spreads throughout the outsiders' world. Ouya, expelled from Budausen, faces a difficult situation. Unryu, attempting to intervene, fails to convince the Grandmaster of Budausen to reconsider Ouya's expulsion. The Grandmaster orders Unryu to stay out of the matter and dismisses any connection between Budausen and Ouya. However, the Grandmaster is informed about the awakening of Grandmaster Ro, shocking him. He tasks Unryu with keeping watch on those trying to sneak into Budausen each night. Ouya, feeling uneasy on a train, exits suddenly due to the presence of Zensei heretics. He calls his servant for a ride home, learning that he must now work in his father's company since he is no longer affiliated with Budausen. Meanwhile, Saurin is apprehensive as Huhoo sharpens her knife. Huhoo reveals that Jo-san forbade her from speaking to Saurin. Saurin shares with Huhoo, Jo-san, and Jo-yan that Tenchi didn't disclose information about the Kushin War because Saurin didn't want to become Tenchi. He explains that Chu Kaigi misled them, using Jo-shu and Huhoo to protect Saurin. Jo-yan suggests that Kaigi wasn't lying but created a small deception in his story. Saurin realizes that Tenchi's ways might hold the key to understanding the Kushin War, as evidenced by the Reiten Teishu ceremony tying him to Tenchifu. Saurin believes that the ways of Tenchi could be a form of suppression, possibly related to the 8 secret arts. He fears that the 8 secret arts might have been created to enforce the ways of Tenchi. Despite the potential challenges, Saurin sees an opportunity to uncover the truth of Huhoo's past through the connections made during the Reiten Teishu. That concludes the anime recap. As always, if you enjoyed, let me know down below and I'm out.